Greetings, my name is Timothy Halloran. I'm making this video in response to what I have been observing by and large out there in the world, as well as some recent feedback that I've received in response to my recent YouTube videos and social media posts about the nature of conspiracy theories. Now, we are all learning in the face of this actual global pandemic and forthcoming even greater economic crisis, that to speak about the harm of conspiracy theories will result in a near total demonization by a significant part of the population. And so I do feel there is a need for some healthy concern as well as response to this significant part of the population. So let's address what the problem is. Quote unquote, conspiracy theories being seen in a positive light, and so-called conspiracy theorists therefore being righteously defensive of their title. Now, again, I've received a lot of feedback in response to my addressing conspiracy theories as unhelpful. Why? Because conspiracies do not necessarily provide facts or evidence, therefore can be severely misleading, and can also be spreading harmful disinformation, as well as fear and paranoia in such a way that is very detrimental to our decision-making and approaching life and the world in a healthy and a realistic way. So this is much of what I've been already saying about conspiracy theorists, and I've received a lot of feedback. Not all of it was petty insults or name-calling, reminiscent of elementary school bullying. And so I've actually listened, something I do, not even necessarily when I want to. I have listened, and I've heard some good points, which I will now respond to. And this is going to be the main core dynamic here is language. You know, language is tricky. So a lot of what we'll be mentioning in this video does boil down to semantics. But it's not just semantics, because words matter. Words affect how we approach our world, our life, our surrounding environment. How we label our world and surrounding environment directly affects how we live our life. And so, what's the definition of the word conspiracy? Well, a conspiracy is like a plot. It is a secret plan to do something of a criminal nature, something that's harmful. Okay, so that's a conspiracy, a secret plan, criminal, harmful. And what is a theory? The definition of theory is a supposition or a system of ideas intended to explain something, especially one based on general principles, independent of the thing to be explained. That is extremely important here. What the definition of a theory is something that is intended to explain something, but there's only general principles rather than an explanation. Therefore, the definition of a conspiracy theory is to explain without there really being an explanation, right? A theory is not really an explanation. So a non-explanation for a secret plot or a criminal activity. Therefore, conspiracy theorists have nothing to do with evidence, facts, critical thinking, revolutionary thinking, unconventional thinking. This is a lot of what I heard in response is, Tim, you're an unconventional thinker. You're a revolutionary. Why do you speak down towards conspiracy theories? Because that's not necessarily what a conspiracy theorist or theory is by definition. Okay? A conspiracy theory means lack of evidence, and the more lack of evidence, the more uncertainty, the more fearfulness, right? The reason this coronavirus has generated so many conspiracies and so many theories and so much fear is because it's uncertain. It's new. It's just being discovered. And so we live in fear. The less facts, the more uncertainty, the more conspiracy theory, the more fear we live in. Now, what I am gathering from the feedback and, the people that are responding, and many of them being hurt feelings and upset with me for speaking out against conspiracy theories, are not actually conspiracy theorists by my definition, which is to use words to mean what they actually are. Because as soon as we stop using words to be what they actually are, we enter a society of total chaos and anarchy. We need language. Language is how we make sense of our world and relate together as a species. So many of these folks are not conspiracy theorists. They are unconventional thinkers. And listen to the words I'm saying: revolutionary idealists with pioneering perspectives that have humanitarian innovation going for them. Okay, a revolutionary thinker is a critical thinker who's using their mind, resources, ideas, and facts to create something. There's a creative, productive, constructive dynamic that comes from a revolutionary thinker, a pioneering innovator, as opposed to a conspiracy theorist. These words, pioneer, unconventional, revolutionary, humanitarian, have more of a charge. There's again a leading, a building, a creating by addressing the reality. Addressing reality means with facts. We're approaching life. We're providing resolutions. We're providing remedies, possibilities, constructive and productive feedback and ideas. That's what a revolutionary thinker does. A revolutionary thinker is not just simply attacking or demonizing what's wrong or what doesn't work. I'm not just saying in this video, conspiracy theories suck. I'm suggesting the approach of being defensive around the term or the phrase conspiracy theorist is not as effective. And I'm providing a more effective and respectful approach that will actually allow for more support, more understanding, the distribution of information in respectful, constructive ways. And that may first of all be labeling ourselves or others accurately. We have to use our minds. We have to use discernment to distinguish what is a conspiracy theorist versus what is a revolutionary thinker, because there could not be more of a difference. And we must know how to distinguish these two very, very different possibilities or types of people or types of approaching, learning, teaching, and distributing information. A conspiracy theorist does not expose reality by digging up the truth or blowing on a whistle. A whistleblower exposes the truth, provides the evidence, the proof. And what the proof and the evidence allows is for humanitarian progressive movements, organizations that are revolutionary and productive and constructive, rather than delusional, misleading, and paranoia and fearful based thinking that loses touch with reality very quickly. I mean, fear does not help us think clearly. That's one of the greatest ways we have mishandled this global pandemic, is there has been an overwhelming response of fearfulness. Even though there are experts, there are facts, there is scientific reasoning, and we could be using those approaches to handle this pandemic in a very calm, centered, practical type of way. But unfortunately, this is not the response that we are witnessing by and large by our world. So again, there is more to what a lot of people out there actually are than conspiracy theorists. These are actual unconventional thinkers, revolutionary ideas. Therefore, there is no reason to be proud or defensive of conspiracy theories or being a so-called conspiracy theorist yourself. The actual definition of this word is one to not be taken seriously. There's even a conspiracy theory that the word conspiracy theory was invented by the CIA to basically make people who were challenging the CIA, this conspiracy is, when JFK was assassinated, the CIA invented conspiracy theory to put down those who were unconventional thinkers. If this conspiracy theory is true, why would you be defensive of the word that's been invented to put down what a revolutionary thinker or an unconventional thinker actually is? So conspiracy theory is not something, again, to be proud of. It's like being called a dumbass or labeled a dumbass. No, you want to be a revolutionary thinker. You want to be someone who's using critical thinking, logic with evidence, fact-based reasoning, scientific approach to be taken seriously, to gain respect, to build a following, to catalyze a revolutionary movement, and then the world changes. How conspiracy theorists handle is they go into fear, paranoia, and it's all theory, which means no evidence, no explanation, and there is this crippling, catatonic frozenness being taken advantage of by people who can spin these conspiracy theories, and it's like total disassociation from reality. Not living in this world, not living in this life, but living in an alternative world of fantasy. Therefore, we need discernment. We have to discern who are the revolutionary thinkers from who are the crippling, delusional conspiracy theorists. Some of the feedback that I received is, Tim, it sure is hypocritical because you say to have an open mind and to, respect everybody, and everybody has their own opinion, and everybody has their own reality, and everybody has their own truth. I do not say this. That is not my opinion. I have never said this. There is something to point out about the difference to speaking someone as an individual, which I am not doing right now, versus speaking to a collective, the way I am doing in this video. I believe in respecting the individual when we speak to an individual. For example, we respect an individual's right to choose their own belief system. How you see God, religion, the purpose of your life, the spiritual practices that you do, I don't ever give my opinions in terms of these things because I believe in freedom and I believe that every individual has a right to their own beliefs. However, beyond religious beliefs, how we function together as a society, as a group, and the ideas that we share, we no longer can be agreeing with just anything. Anything goes. Everybody's allowed to have their opinion. Everybody's allowed to say whatever they want is the truth is extraordinarily harmful and detrimental. So I, in fact, do not say this at all. In fact, what I would like to point out right here and now, which will be something I continue to speak to, is that this is a huge problem, especially in the New Age, spiritual, religious, and even the contemporary astrological communities. There's this New Age belief that we should all be one. We should all be in love, and we should therefore agree with everybody else. Like, if they believe in astrology and I believe in astrology, I should be supporting their astrology. I do not have this opinion at all. The opinion that I have is that there are some extremely harmful astrologers. There are extremely harmful New Age teachers, and they have to be identified and thrown out. But this does not happen in the New Age movement or in the astrological communities because there is this naive sense that we should be supporting one another even if this person is incapable of speaking in complete sentences. We should just love them and support them. And, oh yeah, whatever you're saying is true. And then the blind leads the blind off of a cliff. It's not okay. It's very harmful. So actually, I do not send this idea that we should be all love and light, agreeing with everybody, whatever somebody believes, that's their truth, that's their reality. That's horseshit. That's horseshit. That's how we end up living in a world of complete and utter bewilderment and confusion. There is such a thing as truth. There is a hierarchical way to approach the truths of nature, the laws of nature, the three-dimensional laws that are universal in our world, and you can use the scientific approach to discover what are those universal truths that are always going to apply to everyone, everywhere. Human beings need to breathe air. We need food to survive. You can run a scientific experiment to discover that this is a universal truth, therefore we can discover what works and what doesn't. And we need this discernment, especially now, where there are so many hordes of people more obsessed with their own fanatical beliefs than using any type of system of discernment, that we end up with huge percentages of the population that are signing up to be brainwashed, to be taken advantage of by whatever evil ringleader or politician wants to brainwash the percentage of the population that is raising their hand and saying, we're going to choose not to critically think. As we're going through this global pandemic, we are witnessing objectively to the massive amount of the population that can't stick around when things get this challenging, and they therefore have to go off the rails delusional. And that is at the core of why we are seeing so many conspiracy theorists at this time, and why it's so important to be speaking out against those spreading this type of misinformation. In the New Age movement, we all get thrown under one bus. Oh, you're an astrologer, so you must be just like, this, that, and the other New Ager. No, I'm actually not. I'm actually not on the same team as this, that, or the other person just because they're an astrologer. No. So disagreeability is actually important, and that's at the core of discernment. Discernment means judgment. Judgment is not a bad, negative, evil, or satanic thing. Judgment is your lifeline to living a healthy life or being misled by the capitalistic, brainwashed world that we've been born into, where we're just going to believe that anything painted on a billboard is reality. We will live a life of being deceived. So we must judge. We must use discernment. We cannot assume that we're all on the same team, that we're all one, that we're all a part of the same love and light movement, message, or group, because it's not true. And this is going to continue to be something that I am addressing, that there is actually many layers in terms of what's going out there in the world. There are different facets, there are different cliques, there are different subcultures. And it's going to be very important that we're identifying what these groups, their beliefs, their ideas, where those ideas are coming from, how they're being led, and how we can approach the ideas and the beliefs of others in a way to hopefully resolve some of the collective challenges that our world is currently facing. So again, the endeavor of this video is to point out that a conspiracy theory is not something to hold in high regard, particularly at this time. The unconventional, revolutionary, discovering new ideas, and then proving using scientific evidence and approach is absolutely essential. It is not a conspiracy that our world is full of corruption and greed. It is not a conspiracy that there is a 1% of the American population that holds the majority of the wealth. I received so much feedback that said, oh, Tim, you are one of the 1%. You are supporting the bad guys. No, that's just not a conspiracy. It's not even a theory. This is facts. This is evidence. This is hello. This isn't new. This is where we've been for decades. So it's not a conspiracy theory. You don't need to call yourself a conspiracy theorist because you see the unconventional reality and have all the evidence and proof to back yourself up. Consider yourself a critical thinker in a day and age where thinking, discernment, and yes, even judgment isn't something to feel ashamed or bad about, the way some of these delusional New Agers or spiritualists will demonize or go on witch hunts against people like myself for speaking out against sheer ignorance and just delusional type of thinking. And so we need discernment and we need judgment as well. Not in a sending those people to prison type of way, but recognizing, you know what? Maybe that person who doesn't have their head on straight is maybe not the person I should trust my life with. You know, and that person that I get the vibe like they're kind of more so selling a product or they're kind of more so absorbing me into their religious cult. Think about it. Use your discernment and use your judgment as a lifeline to pull yourself out of the frying pan and create healthy boundaries where necessary for the sake of your own self-preservation.